interview. We're going to be interviewing a missionary to Nicaragua, Oron Wilcox. He's a local product. I'll let him tell you more about that. I do have a few announcements for our church people this evening. First, there's not going to be any drive-through prayer tomorrow or Thursday due to the weather. Amy and I are just not into sitting in the rain and the cold wind. We love to pray for people, but that might be a little too much for us. Also, we have had a donation of 176 Easter lilies to the church. You are allowed to take as many Easter lilies as you would like. They are in the church basement. The church will be open from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock Thursday through Sunday. These Easter lilies are courtesy of Green Circle Growers and the North Coast Church. So if you would like to have some Easter lilies, please feel free to stop by and pick a few of them up. There are cartons of 8. Feel free to take a whole carton, give them to your family, give them to your friends. Bless somebody with them. It'd be a good way to show the love of Christ to someone by giving them an Easter lily. So feel free to do that. Also, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing a Maundy Thursday devotion, talking about the meaning of Maundy Thursday and the Lord's Supper and what Jesus did when he washed the disciples' feet, why he did it. Also, Friday at noon, there will be a Good Friday devotion. We're going to take a look at the Passion of Christ. And then, of course, on Easter Sunday, 11 o'clock will be our sermon. And 7 o'clock, we'll have a time of prayer and praise with Pastor John and Amy. So those are all of our announcements tonight. And I want to bring in our special guest, Oron. 3, 2, 1. There he is. Oron, good to have you with us tonight.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, Oron is a missionary that we support. He and his wife, Lauren, have been married for 11 years now.
Yeah.
11 years. And they have just started on the mission field, and we as a church support them. They are local products, which is something that we really like, is to support someone local that's going international, taking the love of Jesus to other nations, taking skills that they have that other nations might be able to use, and use those skills to help lead people to Jesus. And that's, you're going to hear a lot more about that tonight, but they took a big risk when they decided to go on the mission field. They felt the calling of the Lord. And of course, who knew that this would all happen? But I know they're going to persevere, and God's going to use them in the future greatly. But now they're back in their hometown. And so, Oron, could you tell us where you guys are from and what your hometown was like growing up, where you went to high school, those kinds of things?
Definitely. So
brothers and sisters.
Yeah, my wife Lauren is from New London, so she actually went to New London High School for a little while, and then she went to a Christian school out of Elyria after that. And I'm from Norwalk, so I went to Norwalk High School, and I did my time there. Go Truckers. Definitely. And I had friends that went, to Western and Perkins and Huron and all kinds of places over here. So I'm very familiar with the area. So I think I spent all but maybe 2 or 3 years of my childhood in Norwalk, and then we went to school out in Springfield, Missouri. Went to college out there for a few years and moved back. So where did you
go to school in Missouri?
We went to Baptist Bible College.
All right.
Yep. And it was good. Went there for 4 years. We both got our bachelor's degrees in business, and my wife managed to get her bachelor's degree in business and a bachelor's of education, elementary education. And awesome. the time that it took me to get 1 degree, she got 2. So that was pretty cool.
Well, we have some people checking in here. I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but Bonnie Brennan says, "Good to see you, Oron."
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then we've also got Libby Sanford checking in and saying, "Hi, Oron. Good to see you."
Oh, it's good to be here.
So, Oren, you have a son. Tell us your son's name and his age.
Yeah, our son, his name is Bo, and he is 7 years old, and he is a loud, rambunctious 7 year old.
Good.
He actually just about 35 minutes ago flipped over the handles of his bicycle. So,
Is he all right?
oh yeah, he's good. He's a rock star.
Yeah.
He flipped over his bike and was up out off the ground before I saw him, and he got his bike and kept riding. So he's yeah.
So could you give us a little background on your faith? How did you come to knowing Jesus as your Lord and Savior? When did that happen in your life?
Yeah, for sure. I was about 10 years old, and we were going to church just down the road from where I grew up. And I came to that point in time where I started to understand really what it meant to be a Christian and what that looked like to become a Christian, a follower of Christ. And so when I was about 10, I prayed. I prayed for that. I prayed that God would forgive me my sins and I could enter into that relationship with Christ. And a few months after that, I was baptized, and it was a really neat experience. My entire family was, came to Christ all in about the same amount of time, within 6 months of each other. And then we were all baptized right. Actually, I think we were all baptized on the same Sunday, so it was pretty
No
neat.
kidding,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, it was cool. It was a pretty cool
Wow.
experience.
So salvation visited the Wilcox household.
It did very strong. Yeah,
That's really awesome.
it was a neat experience. So I didn't quite. Basically, all the childhood I can remember was in a Christian home. I mean, there was a few years there weren't, but my parents were always good parents, and there wasn't much of a lifestyle change for me myself at the time. My parents, I think there was, and they would say there probably was, but for my
You were
brother
only
and sister
10,
and I,
right?
yeah, I was 10, so pretty young still, and. But as I got older, like a lot of teenagers do, I kind of did my thing and wasn't really being very close to God. And I would go to church on Sunday and go to youth group, but I was still hanging out with my friends, going to parties and that kind of thing. And it was shortly after high school that I realized that was not the way I wanted to live my life. And,
Yeah, I think you mentioned to me that there was a recommitment of your life during your high school years. Is that right?
Yeah, it was my just after I graduated, like probably about a month after I graduated high school. My buddy and I we were doing a backpack trip through Europe, and we were driving on the Autobahn and
Wow.
yeah. So it was an awesome trip. I definitely suggest it to just about everybody. But I was visiting some family over there, and we were driving down the road and on the Autobahn. So we had a fast car and all this stuff, and we came to a near death experience. I would say, like, we didn't wreck our car, but we should have died. Like, there was no
Oh my God.
question. We definitely squeezed in a gap that was way too tight between two vehicles, and we were going way too fast.
Wow.
And
Fast and furious.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, and my buddy's hands were moving super fast to keep us on the road, and we get through to the other side of it, and I looked at my friend Adam, and I said, "This is it. I gotta, I'll see you on the other side." And I thought we were done.
So that was the catalyst for you rededicating your life.
Sure, 100%. So as soon as we got through that, I mean, like within a minute of getting through that craziness, I looked at Adam and I said, we have not been living right. I need to, I need to go back to church and recommit my life, and I'm not doing this crazy stuff anymore. So yeah. So
wow.
that's the catalyst.
Well, the Lord uses all kinds of things to draw people back to Him, doesn't He?
Oh yes, yep. Especially for people that don't listen real well, I think.
Scare them to death.
100%. 100%.
Wow. We've got some other people checking in here. My wife, she's not here. She's actually in Wasion with her granddaughter and daughter, helping her out tonight. So she's checking in, and she says, "Thank you for sharing with us tonight."
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then we've also got Sally Sabin checked in and said hello. Hi, Sally. Good to see you here with us tonight.
Hey.
If anybody has any questions for Oren, he'd be happy to answer those questions. So
Oh, for
please
sure. Yeah,
feel
definitely.
free to check in.
Yep.
Uh, Another question for you. You felt a calling to ministry.
Yeah.
When well, tell me, when did you got married 11 years ago. You both
Yeah.
were Christians.
Yeah. Yep.
You started living your life for the Lord, but then something changed.
Yeah, for sure. So it was while we were out at college, and I was, I had known for a few years that I kind of want to do something missions related. I didn't really want to be like a full time missionary, but Lauren and I really had a heart to go and help some like people just you know kind of fill the needs. Like if they needed somebody to lead a project, we would just come lead the project, help them raise the funds, and then lead the project. That was kind of our our original goal with the whole process.
And
But
what kind of projects were those?
they would have been building projects. That was our goal. So any kind of building project they needed oversaw, I would just I'd be the project manager. Is kind of what that was going to look like. That was our plan. So we had talked to people about it. Everybody was like, "Yeah, that seems like something that's needed," and it would really help out missionaries because a lot of them aren't skilled in that area.
Right.
So it would help. It would be somebody that was familiar with the building process, and then it would help them. I would kind of bridge that gap between the missionary and the builders. And so it seemed like a really good idea. So we were at an alumni dinner one night, and of course we weren't alumni yet. We were still in the school, so we didn't know anybody. But one of our friends had actually came back who had just graduated, and he was a youth pastor. And we sat at their table, him and his wife's table, and the lead pastor from their church was there, and he sat down with his wife, and we all got to chatting. And I told him, he's like, "What do you guys plan on doing after school?" And I told him what our idea was, and he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's great. I've got an open seat on a missions trip if you want to come and." I can introduce you to a missionary, and you guys
Wow.
can see where that goes from. And it was a building project, so the goal was to put a roof to re-roof a church while we were down there. So I went on this trip. I met the missionary. We kind of hit it off pretty well, and he said, "Hey, we could really use somebody to do that full time. Like we've got enough projects going that we just would really prefer you move down here and do it full
Wow.
time." And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is really interesting, right?" So I was able to go. The trip was done. When the trip was done, it was about 9 days long, and when it was over, I got a chance to go back and talk to Lauren and tell her about everything that was happening. And she was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds interesting, but I'm not really sure that I'm interested in moving overseas full time." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, okay, well, we'll pray about it, right?" So Lauren and I,
Okay,
we
sure.
prayed about it, and we prayed about it, and we prayed about it, and we prayed about it, and a couple of years went by, and I'm just like, I don't, you know, I guess I can back up. At first, it was close to the end of our senior years, and we thought we'd really like to go back to Ohio to be close to our family. We don't have peace about the Nicaragua thing. We're not really sure what to do, so we're just going to go back to family. I'll start a job, and we'll kind of start working toward our original goal of just doing this kind of as a part-time deal.
Right.
And so we did that. We started working toward it, and everything's going good. But God was, continuously pushing us in a different direction. So I had this small construction business with my brother, and we were doing remodels, and it was going great. But we had an opportunity to adopt our son Bo. And when we met with the social worker, and she's asking us all these questions like, "How much do you guys make?" and where do you live? And then like she's got to come to our house and everything. And I told her how much I was making, which was pretty good money.
Yeah.
And
Oh, we're
she
going
was
to be
like,
missionaries.
"Yeah, I was doing yeah." And so, and it was, I was making pretty decent money. And she's like, "Well, how long have you had your own business for?" And I said, "Oh, about, I think it was 4 months at that time, 4 or 5 months. It wasn't very long." And she was like, "Oh, well, see, that's a problem. If you haven't been self employed for so long, we can't really have that as a guaranteed income." And I was
Right.
like, "Oh, well, then what do we do? Because obviously we want to adopt our son. Like, I can't just, we don't want to just quit that process." And she was like, "Well, you have to get a job at a company that has a track record of like paying
Sure.
its bills for a long time and paying its employees." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was God redirecting us, I guess the second time. And then a few more years went by after that. And I was like, we just didn't feel at peace. We were just not really sure what we were supposed to be doing. So a great guy, Dave Sellers, who is the executive director at Camp Patmos up on Kelly's Island. We were at church one Sunday, and he came in and did a Camp Patmos Sunday. So he's pitching the camp, right, and raising funds for the camp and trying to get everybody excited about camp ministry. And he raised the question near the end of his sermon of, how, are you actually giving your all to God? Are you really doing what you're supposed to be doing? Like, are you actually doing the thing? Are you actively praying that God will show you
Sure.
His will and direct you in that? And I was like, Lauren and I just kind of looked at each other like, we probably need to go talk. So shortly after that, we went over to the Norwalk Reservoir, which is kind of our hangout,
Okay.
and we
Sure.
we just got away from everything, went on a little hike, prayed about it, talked to each other, and we're like, I think we need to give this thing another go. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, so we were
Awesome.
like, we'll move forward. We'll just keep moving forward until God tells us this isn't what I want you to do. And so far, we're still here.
Yeah, it's kind of like driving down the highway, and you get little signs
Yeah, yep,
warning it. The little nudges here, little signs there, and then maybe you miss your exit,
yep,
and he'll give you a little bigger sign, and then he'll get you back on track. And it
for
sounds
sure.
kind of like that's what you went through. And I know that a lot of our listeners, I'm sure, have had that same feeling of, I know that I'm called to do something for the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lord's giving them little signs and showing them
Yeah.
different things. What advice would you give them concerning those signs that the Lord gives you in the
I would say
process of hearing the Lord?
for sure. Well, I would say usually that doesn't come as a big sign, and it doesn't
Right,
come as a very obvious sign for 90% of people, right?
right.
And I would say, like, if you feel like you're supposed to be doing something, if you feel like you're supposed to be doing more to serve the church or more to, help further the gospel or whatever that might look like, that you just take that first step.
Amen.
You just got to reach out just a little bit, and then you're going to get a little more comfortable, and then you're going to want to reach out a little more, and then you're going to get a little more comfortable, and then you're going to be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and you just keep going, and you never know where it's going to lead, but
Right.
but you'll never get there if you don't take that first step.
That's right. And the first step's often the hardest step.
Oh, hands down, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I say that right now. I'm in Ohio, just down the street from you guys. I feel like I'm further away than ever, and we're like in Corona quarantine. So,
Yeah.
so generally, the first step is the hardest one.
I've got a question that ties into that.
Yeah,
It's from Libby Sanford, and she asks, how is the COVID-19 affecting your mission?
it's definitely affecting it. We've had our U.S. missionaries and our and include my family in that. We are all in the States.
Yeah.
We don't a lot of my missionary friends, none of us know when we're going back to our countries. So that's a huge thing. We don't know. We are really in the same limbo you got, like everyone else is. With we don't know when work's starting back up. We don't know, when we're going to be able to return to life as normal. So that's a huge thing. Like we've experienced here, there are food shortages, and
Oh,
that's a big thing in a lot of the world, right? We're really blessed here in the U.S. To no fault of our own. We're just we've got the industry to help us have a lot of abundance of food, so we have tons of food. Now I've noticed if I go to the grocery store right now, there's definitely some things they don't have. Like we are out of food in some ways. But Nicaragua is definitely feeling that right now, and we were blessed to be able to order a large shipping container of food for our churches, and
awesome.
it's been really neat. A lot of the local pastors there are able to bring that food into the church and then redistribute it as they see fit. So they've been able to help out their congregations in that way. Some of our pastors, because we know that just like here, you're not always affected right away from the loss of income, but sometimes it takes a few weeks or a couple of months to really start feeling it. And they've been really proactive. They've decided that they're going to do a few other things to help the church scale back expenses so that when the the wages start to go down, or they feel that loss of income, that the church can make that up in some way. So it's been really neat to see them brainstorm, to see our fellowship, just figure out and problem solve together and move forward. It's crazy because we're not in the trenches with them currently, and that's
that's got to be difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been feeling through this whole coronavirus crisis thing is that the Lord is resetting us to our priorities.
Yeah, yeah,
with
for
the
sure.
purpose,
Yeah,
with the purpose of upgrading us to something even better.
I think so. Well, like you and I had talked earlier, it's pushed a lot of people and a lot of churches kind of into the live streaming and having a lot larger presence online than they did before. And it's reaching people that, like you had said, that the people that don't love being in the crowd, or don't love experiencing something for the first time, that they're unfamiliar with. It's really opened up that door.
Well, thank you for your question, Libby. We've got another question here. This comes from my lovely wife. She says, is there another place besides Nicaragua that you would like to do missions?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. We really do have a heart for Nicaragua. But we lived in Costa Rica for language school, and that's a fantastic country. We could definitely see helping out more in that country, but I don't know. As far as going to another country for like full-time missions, no, I think we're pretty set with Nicaragua. But God may lead in a different direction eventually, and we've got friends all over the map. So you never know where the next is. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to take a left turn or a right turn and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy, for the question. I have another question for you. Could you share with those who may not be very familiar with your ministry? I know there are kind of two avenues to it. One is building,
Yeah.
and the other is food.
Yeah.
Could you kind of define those for us?
Yeah. So Rancho Nicaragua is what our ministry is called. We work with a church planting group called Familia Avance, and within that group we have like 16 church plants. There are a few nutrition centers, a medical clinic, a seminary, and just it grows and grows and grows. There's a large sports outreach called Avance Sport, and it's been really neat to just see this kind of entity grow and grow and grow as God's directed us. And so ours specifically, Rancho Nicaragua, our goal specifically is us having a sustainable farm and being able to educate people in those ways, and glean information from Nicaraguan farmers and see how we can really grow the wealth of knowledge that's there, and help those people. And then the other part is the camp ministry. So we do have a camp 2 months out of the year at our camp at Rancho Nicaragua, and that's really neat. So that's another huge thing. Camp ministry is started to mean more and more to us as we go down this road. And so I guess kind of what my job specifically is, which I think is what you're hitting on, is to oversee the building project. And so the camp and farm has one building on it, and we're looking to make it explode. We want to have dorms for the campers, because right now they tent camp, which is great, right? They love it. I love tent camping. I'm an avid backpacker, so I've got all the backpack and the gear and the tent and everything that goes along with it, and I love it. So I definitely don't want to get rid of that, right? That's not my goal. But if we could get some dorms, that'd be fantastic. If we get a dining hall to prepare the food, something that's larger than what we already have, that's what the goal is. Right now, we've got it works for what it is, but we're looking to have 200 or 300 kids at the camp at the same time. So we got to add on and do more things, right?
Awesome.
So we got to build that, and we got to build a chapel, and we got to flatten some ground and build a road, and that's what that's what a lot of my passion is just helping facilitate that. So that's a big part of the ministry, because there's only one building there, and the plans that we had drawn up for our vision was I want to say there's something like 13 buildings. So between the cabins and
That's good.
the chapel and the dining hall and all that stuff. Yeah. So our goal is that we have the sustainable farm. We can grow some food, but we can also help figure out possibly some better ways to do things. We can have local Nicaraguans come over and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing on our farm that works really well," and they can share it. They can do small classes on what they do and how they do it, so that we can spread that knowledge around and help
Yeah.
others out. Because
So
it's
you're
great to have the knowledge, but if you can't share it, if there's not a way to share it,
yeah.
then it's kind of stuck. It's not really doing a whole lot. Yeah.
So you're basically taking the skills you both have
Yeah.
in farming and in building and using them. The Lord is using them to reach
Mhm.
other people for Him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
All
I don't
right.
want to say that I have too many skills in farming, but we have friends with skills in farming. And we're
All right.
learning. We're learning.
We've got a couple more questions here.
Yeah.
Bonnie Brennan asks, "What is the political situation like in Nicaragua?"
Yeah. It's touch and go. I mean, it's overall it's been, okay. Yeah. Probably don't want to say too much on that, but it's been
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a pretty good relationship with everybody.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. This comes from Shannon White in Clearwater, Florida. She asks, "Is the purpose of missions to spread the word where they might not have access to churches or are not aware of Christ? Is the purpose of missions to spread the word where they might not have access to churches or where they might not be aware of Christ?"
Okay. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, it's both definitely. It's in Central America, so the awareness of Christ is definitely in a lot of places. It's kind of like being in the U.S. It is definitely there, but our goal is to have an evangelical presence and to spread the word. So yeah, so we definitely have the areas that we're in are mainly cities. So cities and small villages. We haven't made it up too much into the jungles of Nicaragua, which in the future is where we'd be heading to. So when we get up that way, then it's a little bit different ball game.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
it would be a little more unchurched in that area. Yeah, so it's exciting. It's pretty
It
neat.
is exciting.
It's been a blast to see how we've planted churches and how now those churches are starting to plant more churches.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're catching it. It's really cool to see.
That's awesome. It's got to be a thrill to be a part of something like that, huh?
It really is. It's very exciting. We're loving it. I mean, we haven't got to be in the trenches too much with our Nicaraguan family, but we can't wait to get down there full time and really get to see it on a daily basis. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Shannon, for that question. Here's a comment from Bonnie Brennan. She said, "Sustainable farming sounds good. I lived on a farm my first 20 years."
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we're
We have a
glad to
lot
hear
of
that.
farmers in our area, right?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
And then here's Libby Sanford. She asks this: "How is the farm doing right now?"
Yeah. So far so good. We haven't had any negative reports lately, so to my knowledge, everything is going well. We still have cattle, and we're growing. We're growing. So
All right, good.
lots of fruit trees. Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. Oren, could you tell us about the future direction of your ministry? I mean, I know you've already touched on it somewhat, the 13 buildings and the camps and the sustainable farming. Is there anything else that you see that the Lord really may be calling you to?
Yeah, I do. So currently, what we're doing is the building projects, and we're trying to facilitate that. But I do think maybe in the next, I don't know, 5 or 10 years, we really like to do a little bit more on the community development side of things. And a
Okay,
lot of that is networking. So it's, I know this person that has this knowledge, this person has this need. Is there a way that we can get them together to work together?
sure.
Um, and really just going through like our process of fundraising and just meeting a lot of people and a lot of farmers and a lot of people that just have the know-how to do things, but maybe they don't have the Spanish that goes along with that. We'd love
Right.
to be able to figure out a way to get people down to Nicaragua or to Central America and just kind of bridge that gap.
I know a little Spanish. I know a little Spanish.
Yeah.
Donde es el baño?
That's an important one. You always need to know where that is.
Yeah. Do you ever foresee in the future hosting individuals on short-term mission trips for certain specific projects?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple of ways that we've thought about doing this, and a couple of ways that we know some other missionaries do these things. One, of course, would be having a whole church come down as a missions trip, and we would kind of tailor the trip to the church. If they wanted to do like a vacation Bible school setup, fantastic.
Okay.
If they want to do some, if they want to help out in a church and meet whatever that church's need is, whether it's a building project or doing like they've done puppet shows in the past, which is kind of
nice,
kind of a neat experience.
I have a background in that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Another thing is hosting sport events, like soccer events. That's a neat thing. And then if you came up to Rancho Nicaragua, there's a ton of stuff. I mean, we've got land clearing to do, building projects, helping with camp. So the couple months of camp, we could definitely have people up there to help out with that.
Yeah, I don't know about the land clearing, man.
That's a lot of sweat.
Unless I'm driving a bulldozer. How's that sound? I'll do that.
Be great. Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
But no, I'm not using a shovel.
I get it. Yeah.
Okay. I know you are missionaries are always in need of support.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the first and primary support that you have is for prayer partners, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And then after having prayer partners, how can people partner with your ministry?
Yeah. So
our church supports you on a monthly basis.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You guys are great.
But you also you have other churches, but you also take in individual commitments from people, right?
Yeah, definitely. We have it's probably close to like a 70-30, 70% churches, 30% individuals, right around there. And so individuals make up a huge amount of our monthly support, and it's really great. So there are a few ways. There's I think my phone number and my contact info was up there earlier.
Yeah, so, it's still going across the bottom of the screen. It has been the whole time. So we've got your email and your phone number there.
Yep. So those are two great ways. There is also a website that we have called, let's see, actually, I think I might just be able to type it in here. It's My Click and Give. That's probably the easiest way.
Okay.
To donate directly to us. I think it's .org.
My Click and Give.
Yep, and then our name's on there, so that would be a super great way. Yeah. Oh, let me just make sure. Oh, actually, I think that is a .com. Yeah, it's a .com. That's my bad. MyClickandGive.com. But yeah, people can definitely.
I'm gonna put it up on the screen for you.
Yeah.
There we go. MyClickandGive.com.
Yeah.
Forgive the spaces in there, but you can look up Oron Wilcox and his wife Lauren. Is Lauren around there? Is she?
She is. I don't know what she's doing. She was upstairs. I'll text her though real quick.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, she doesn't have to pop in. I just thought people might like to see her, but I know if she's not ready for it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. She must okay. But that would be great. So, like I said,
if individuals wanted to support you, $10 a month, $20 a month, $100 a month, they could do that.
It varies everywhere from I think $5 or $10 up to probably around 200. So we have a large variety of how much an individual supports us for.
Yeah, and it's to go to develop this camp for children, teaching them,
definitely
leading them to Christ. and
For
then a
sure.
sustainable farming
Yeah.
to support the communities and the
Yeah.
churches in the area,
Yep.
and church planting.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's why we support you. Plus, you're local. We love that.
Yeah. We have reached out to.
Can I tell the story how we met?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so my wife and I are at breakfast at a local restaurant, and we're talking to a young man. And as we're talking, they're sitting across on the other side of the aisle from us, and they overhear us talking. And we were talking about things of God, and Oren, I don't know if it was you, Oren, or if it was your wife. One of you two said,
It was
"Hey,
Oren.
we're missionaries. Could we talk?" And we just made a great connection that way. And it turned out to be just a fantastic connection.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was through my buddy Jeremy. He connected with you guys, and then we deepened our relationship, and then we brought you into the church, and the church loved you. And now you are one of our 6 missions that we support.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. We were super excited. We love the connecting with local churches. We've worked really hard to get as many local churches as we could on board. For us, it's just really neat because I think because we're in a lot of rural churches, and it's a heavy community, right? Like it's
Right.
it's heavily community involved. So to see that we're from the area and we have that understanding kind of just of the history of our area, and like we know people in the area, and we I don't know, you just make connections, and when you say, hey, I know I have this person or whatever told me about this, and they're like, oh, I know that guy, like it just I don't know, it's kind of fun.
My wife just sent a message and said, "Hey, Lauren, heart."
Great.
There you go.
Oh, that's great. I hear footsteps. I don't know if she's coming down or not. We'll see.
Oh, that's all right. So did you have anything else that you would like to say that's been on your heart recently? I know that these are trying times for you guys, and being back home and not being on the field is always a challenge.
Yeah.
Gearing up and looking forward to moving forward.
Yeah, this has been just like for everybody, it's been a really interesting time, and I don't think any of us saw this coming at all. I know I didn't, so maybe I just missed something, but I didn't see it coming. But like we've been trying to stay on the up and up. Like we use this as a time to rebrand some of our our merchandise, whatever, like our promo material we send out, like our newsletters that we send out, and our prayer cards that we send out. We were able to redesign those, and we're getting some more hats and things ordered. So
hey, yeah, could you take that hat?
Oh, yeah. So there's this. So that's
Rancho Nicaragua.
That's
awesome.
it. So
I gotta get me one.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try and get you one.
It's gonna have to be a good luck fishing hat for me.
Okay. Yes, that'd be great. If you could stick a lure in it, I think right here would be fantastic.
All right, awesome.
So it's been good, definitely.
Okay, Oren, could you pray for our viewers tonight and
sure.
bless them? And if any of them want to contact you, they can do that by looking in the bottom of the screen. And we may have one more. Let's see. We've got a God bless you and your family from Alex.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, and we do want you to know that we pray for you. But if you could just pray for our viewers that they would be able to hear the Lord's voice as you have and follow Him. I always say that micro missions turn into macro missions. Yeah. So do what the Lord puts in front of you to do, and it will lead to the greater calling in your life.
Yeah.
So for sure. Pray that for us, would you?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks.
All right, let's go ahead and pray. God, we just thank you for this time. We know it's an interesting time, but we thank you for it. Mm-hmm. We thank you for each other. We thank you for the ability to connect with each other. Even though we cannot be physically close, we can still connect with one another. I thank you for giving us this unique calling and not making it easy all the time, but showing us and directing us. And I pray that if there's anyone listening tonight that is feeling that tug at their heart, feeling that there's just this one thing that I should be doing, that they take that little step and they go out in a step of faith toward you, Lord, and that you will just guide their steps, guide them, give them the courage to do that one step. When they do that, give them the courage to do the next step,
Yes.
and just show them. We know that it can be a really
Yes, Lord.
uneasy, unsettling time, but we definitely pray that you will continue to guide those people, continue
Yes.
to guide us, continue to guide Brighton, and just thank you for them. I thank you so much for all the prayer warriors that we have praying for us daily. Thank you for our pastors in Nicaragua and all of the missionaries around the world that are doing these things. Thank you for all the pastors that are also helping, doing all these crazy things, trying to get the word out. And thank you for blessing their efforts. It's so neat to be able to see people from all over the world hearing the gospel for the first time in a very unique venue. And God, I just pray that you will give those people, like I said, the courage to just make that first step.
Amen.
Just take that step. And I pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. You know, Oren, I have a feeling that someday we're going to visit you down there.
I hope so.
Maybe we'll bring a team down some year.
Yeah.
And help you advance the cause of the kingdom in Nicaragua. So.
Oh, that would be great. We would appreciate
it.
That'd
be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Pastor John Burgess and Oron Wilcox, missionary to Nicaragua. We bless you guys. You have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to check in tomorrow, 7 o'clock, and then Friday at noon. And God bless and I bless. This is Pastor John, BCC Live, signing off. Good night.